James Bond is now owned by Amazon. Creative control sits not with Eon or the Broccoli family, but in the hands of Blofeld, Jeff Bezos. You're telling me the most iconic spy in British cinema now answers, spiritually speaking, to the guy who treats the world like his personal offshore warehouse? That's not exactly comforting. So what's the worst case scenario here? First, Bond becomes content, not cinema, not an event, not a cultural occasion, just content. Bond films used to feel like something you dressed up for, argued about, and remembered. They were shared experiences in actual movie theaters passed between generations like ritual. Amazon doesn't make events, Amazon makes disposable product. If Bond becomes another forgettable thumbnail you scroll past at 2:12 a.m., something essential to him is already dead. Then there's the danger of Americanization. Not because Americans can't make great movies, obviously we can, but because Bond was fundamentally shaped by being a strange, glamorous, deeply British family enterprise. The Broccolis treated Bond like an inheritance, not an algorithm. British and international cinema has a different texture, a different rhythm, a different sense of irony than mainstream corporate American media. Amazon risks buffing away whatever weird, idiosyncratic spirit he has left. Even worse, Bond could become a content mill. An endless stream of spin-offs, limited series, origin stories, Young Q, Moneypenny Season 1, Clear and Present Lighter. All for some god-awful Bond cinematic universe. An interconnected Bond multiverse isn't just wrong, it's conceptually anti-Bond. Bond works as concentrated, high-impact cinema, not as an infinite drip feed of IP exploitation. More is not better if what you're multiplying is mediocrity. In the bleakest version of this, Amazon doesn't just update Bond. They sanitize and remodel him into something unrecognizable. A focus-grouped, risk-averse, market-tested 007 who looks like Bond but no longer feels like Bond. That's not evolution. That's corporate distortion. And let's be real, Bond might never properly return to movie theaters. That matters. The big screen, the thunderous theme, the collective gasp. That shared experience is baked into what Bond is. Amazon has shown, again and again, that theaters are an inconvenience, old-fashioned, not a priority. If 007 becomes primarily a streaming property, a core part of his identity is diminished. Now, Bond has always been a character in motion. He's not static being, he's dynamic becoming. He changes with the times. Different masculinities, different villains, different fantasies of glamour, sex, and danger. Connery, Lazenby, Moore, Dalton, Brosnan, Craig, all distinct. But beneath those shifts, there's always been a recognizable Bond thesis. This isn't about fearing change. It's about fearing that Bond becomes so warped by corporate logic that he stops being Bond at all. Here's the nightmare. Amazon screws this up so badly that James Bond becomes a dead IP, not retired with dignity, but culturally poisoned beyond recovery, damaged to the point that even Amazon eventually gives up on him. Still, we'll always have the 25 original films. Those can't be taken away. If your personal headcanon needs a clean ending, No Time to Die is a genuinely beautiful place to stop. Tragic, mythic, and final. Deeply poetic. I don't want Bond to disappear, as suspicious as I am of Amazon. I'm not rooting for failure. I want to be wrong. I want Amazon to somehow deliver something that feels worthy of legacy. But if they don't, if they turn 007 into something hollow, safe, and algorithmically optimized, then at least Bond has already received a fitting cinematic farewell. That's not nostalgia. That's a warning. So that's the worst case scenario. There is best case scenario. I just don't think it's very likely. But Amazon could reinvigorate the franchise. Could get a whole bunch of younger kids, younger men, younger generations deeply invested in the character. That could happen. I just don't see it as a very likely possibility. But that's what I'm really hoping for. I want Bond to be a property that I can hand down to someone, you know what I mean? Bond was given to me by my grandfather, who was a Sean Connery purist. He sat me down and we watched Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Diamonds Are Forever. He sat me down and put me through James Bond education, kind of passed down the inheritance of the fantasy of James Bond. And I want to be able to do that as well, to my children. And then I want my children to be able to do that with their children. And I think it's a beautiful idea that it keeps going and it lives on. And I don't know the last time you did a rewatch of these movies, but it's fascinating to start at Dr. No and go all the way up to No Time to Die and see the different changing faces of what beauty is considered, what masculinity is considered, the changing face of evil, the political discourse shifting, the colors shifting, the cars changing, the signs changing, the world becoming more and more modern. Through Bond, we can actually track and traverse the history of not only cinema, but our shared idealized forms in this concept of the action blockbuster. Like, Bond films are incredibly important in a lot of different ways. And I hope Amazon can provide us with something that excites people. It's okay if I don't end up liking the Amazon product, so long as it gets people energized for the franchise itself, then I'll consider that a W. And a part of Bond is dead. The Broccolis were a huge part of why these films were unique and interesting and fun. And a huge part of Bond is dead. I just hope that Amazon didn't kill it for nothing. Thank you for watching me. I'm the rejected Bond villain.